Psalms 34 verse 8 says, "O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusts in him." Truly, it is a wonderful thing to trust the Lord. Well, I haven't put out a video in a long while, but this has been circling in social media, so I decided to cover it. All these major websites that cover movies and so on, they cover this, so I just wanted to delve into the topic a little bit. So, Ate Timonen, who's a freelancer, critic, and writer, a geek, a metalhead, and a cosplayer, an optimist, feminist, and socialist, majoring in digital cultures in the University of Turku, PM for stuff. She says this: "In case you wonder, here's a picture of how the Amazons looked in Wonder Woman. Next to the pic, how they looked in Justice League. First designed by Lindy Hemming, second by Michael Wilkinson. Some steps backwards, methinks." Let me show you the picture here. So, she is showing, or he, I'm not too sure if it's a he or she, the Amazonians here, and they're dressed in full regalia. This is in Wonder Woman. Lindy Hemming was the designer. And then here, these are the Amazons in Justice League, and Michael Wilkinson was the designer for these Amazons. I guess the suggestion is that Zack Snyder's film, he doesn't get women. I've heard this a long time. I heard Sucker Punch the same thing. He doesn't get women, and he tries to strip them down naked, and he's sexist, and look what a man's view of things are, and well, look what a woman's view of things are. And just to elaborate a little further on this, let's look at some of those pictures from Wonder Woman. So here's Wonder Woman. Here they are side by side. Here are the Amazons in Wonder Woman. This is in the beach scene, the fight scene at the beach. And here are the Amazons from Justice League. And I guess they look sexy because they got navels out. You know, they're showing some skin, the navel area. I guess that's why they're so sexy. I guess that's the point, right? That's the point. Let's have a better look at the women again, Amazons in Wonder Woman. This is behind the scenes footage. Notice I'm only doing behind the scenes footage here. And here they are in Justice League, right? Just one major problem I have with this. It's a major flaw in Ate Timonen's logic. And it's been making the rounds everywhere. You know what I mean? These pictures have been making the rounds everywhere. And there's a major flaw. Major flaw. You know what that is? When we look at Wonder Woman, when we look in Wonder Woman, we also have behind the scenes footage of this. Yeah. This is an Amazon too from Wonder Woman. And these are Amazons too from Wonder Woman. Yeah, the Wonder Woman, the movie. Yeah, they're on Themyscira there. These are behind the scene footage. Want to see some more? Let me show you some more. Booyah. Booyah. It just so happens, if we're not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken here, there's the navel and belly button here, and the fatigues and stuff, right? And bam, there's the navel and the fatigues and stuff. Apparently, Ate Timonen, apparently, Linda Hemming had a similar costume design. Bam, very similar costume design to Michael Wilkinson. I'm just saying. You see, the Amazons have many different types of wear that they wear. Here, this is the Queen's Guard, and they're wearing a different type of, again, uniform. Okay? And I don't think it's just Linda Hemming and Michael Wilkinson's plan, but there seems to have been an idea of how the Amazons would look that had been laid down by Zack Snyder. Yes, Zack Snyder again. We come back to that guy, don't we? The guy that you guys despise, you know, that you just don't like, and probably going to hit Justice League with a 30% Rotten Tomato score because you just don't like Zack Snyder. he comes back into the picture. See, not only did Zack Snyder design the story, but we all know that Zack Snyder and I guess the same Michael Wilkinson designed Wonder Woman's outfit. You know, that same guy. Yeah, they seem to have also had an input into how the Amazons looked. Okay, not to say that there wasn't other inputs into how Queen Hippolyta looked from the research from some of the actors and some of the cast, but also the fact that they're keeping it consistent with what was going on all along. So really, the Amazons had multiple different kinds of looks to start with, and you know I've done a extensive amount of videos on the Amazons. All right, and so Linda Hemming, here she is with a very similar kind of design to Michael Wilkinson. All right, the same kind of Amazons. And there's another thing I need to highlight here because I realize people don't get it. Yes, these women look sexy. They do. But beyond that, they're very muscular. If you look at them, each one of these women, by the way, each one of these women they're either stunt women or they're athletes or they're bodybuilders or they're you know, not just models, but they're superior. All right, this lady here, she's a stunt woman. Okay, these two women here, this is a personal trainer, and this lady here, she's a CrossFit athlete. Okay, this lady here, she's a horseback rider. All right, professional. Okay, so these women are no joke, and the outfits are to really portray their physique. It's intimidating, as some people said. It's basically the guys who train from 300. We're also training them to get into rigorous shape. But these women have always been in rigorous shape because this woman is a stunt actor and so on, and an actress as well. But you can see they're in ripping shape. They're like almost like Hulks. You know, they're badass. Okay, and this is depicted here as well. Okay, so it's not necessarily that Zack Snyder or Michael Wilkinson is taking a step backwards, you think. But actually that there are many different portrayals of the Amazons. Now, if you guys were looking at Mark Hughes goes into a little bit more detail about that. Here's the Amazons again. This is them in their civic dress. So Amazons have multiple looks, and even on the set of Wonder Woman, they had multiple looks. But let's go a little deeper into things. But before I do, I guess this is sexist as well. Maybe men designed these outfits with women in bikinis chilling out and relaxing on a vacation. This is the set of some of the Amazons from Wonder Woman. Okay, so I guess they're not allowed to do that either. Show skin. That means, oh my, look how men look at women. These women chose this to wear as they were relaxing out there, and they chose to take this picture on the set of Wonder Woman. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, and if they look fabulous, why don't you let everyone know you look fabulous? All right, doesn't mean you have to disrespect you. You know what I'm saying? And here they are again in a different type of dress, but has how they may conduct themselves in everyday life as they move along. Okay, so let's just make it abundantly clear here, folks, that sometimes these so-called feminists, who are not feminists at all, but you know, they do some really stupid things. We saw what happened where they wanted to debar Wonder Woman from the United Nations ambassador because, according to them, she looked too sexy, and she played up to the male, chauvinistic ideals. This is the film that turned out to be a film that's a game changer right now, where we're seeing men who are in powerful positions who are exploiting other people. Now they're being called out for it, and I'm so happy about that. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a new day. Even the senators are being called out, or guys are going for the Senate, and I'm glad about this. I remember back in the day, Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. Monica Lewinsky was looked at as the tramp. I remember when the judge on the Supreme Court, he was called out for what he was doing. The woman was looked at as a villain in some quarters. Women were afraid to do that. And I'm not saying only women. I mean, men should call it out where they're being exploited, but more likely women are being exploited. Have been exploited for many years in many different industrial places. So I'm happy about that. See, I'm a fair guy, right? But when it comes to some of these stupid allegations by some of these so-called feminists, and they're not feminists, I can tell you that. All right, these people who are calling out these things, they're not feminists. Trust me. All right. And I'm a man, and I could be a feminist, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's some people who play political games. They're trying to get political points. They're trying to get mileage off of their hate of certain people. That's a totally different ball game, They're trying to get the world to be like how they want it to be. I'm not talking about those guys. Those guys are not feminists at all. Feminists talk about equality. And if you're really being fair, and if you're really pushing for equality, then you would know that Zack Snyder has done this for 300 soldiers as well. He's always had them super fit, hyper fit people. Zack Snyder's been very consistent with that, okay? So this is not anything different, actually. He's actually being fair, and he's actually giving women equal, shall I say, exposure as men. This is how he treats men. This is how he treats women. If you look at Superman, super tight outfit, his physique is on display. Batman, imposing, super tight outfit. You see all the muscles bulging out of his arm. So I mean, he's being very fair. Wonder Woman, same thing. Super tight outfit, strong, strapping, powerful. Zack Snyder's been doing this for this. He's been very consistent. So I think that Ate Timonen and Company Limited, who've been circulating their rounds, thinking that by doing this they're being good feminists and calling out male chauvinism. I think right now you're just gone overboard, and you're doing the same idiotic thing that these women at the United Nations did for Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman has been a game changer. Okay, United Nations should have had her as ambassador. Okay, they should have had her, and that would have given women leverage to push for the UN secretary, the secretary of the UN. They could have pushed for it, because that gives them the momentum to do that. And it's just, some people are just so stupid. But it is what it is. It is what it is. All right? We've seen feminists actually support, so-called feminists, support a guy who bashed the film Wonder Woman and said it wasn't a game changer, and said that Wonder Woman was a what's the word? Objectified icon. And we had some so-called feminist women coming out to defend that. The indefensible. From a male chauvinist who claims he's a feminist. Okay? So it's just one of these funny things. I listen to this and I'm like, y'all talk about Joss Whedon having some extramarital affair, but you defend James Cameron? Of all people? Are you serious? I'm glad Patty Jenkins answered him. I'm glad also that Linda Carter answered him. Okay? So, to my point, because I have a point here. So Mark Hughes said something very interesting. And in Wonder Woman the film, there's a lot of very interesting things here. The Amazons come out of the sea, and of course they come out naked, right? And if you look at mankind here, there is these male soldiers, but then here's a female soldier on top of a horse here. That's not a man, that's actually a woman. I just thought that was interesting. And then you had some other men here. And if you look at the men, they kind of almost look like Spartans, But anyway, so yeah, the Amazons. And this is Queen Hippolyta here. She was not inherited. She didn't inherit the queenship. She was actually elected as queen by the other Amazons. And that's here's Antiope coming out the water there. Now, why is that important? Because Mark Hughes was talking about through time, through history, he found something very interesting. He observed something very interesting, and I want to show you too. This is a little later on in history when the Amazons were working alongside mankind. And if you look at them, their dress is sometimes simple. And here are some of the Amazon soldiers over here. So some of them are carrying, as you see, arms. They're carrying spears and stuff. And here are some of the Amazon warriors here. You can see one carrying a sheath of a sword. But look, she's bareback. And another one, bareback with the navel in front. You know what I'm saying? Here's one with a shield. And again, she's kind of bareback. Showing that as time evolved, the Amazons started to armor up. Okay? The next time when you see them in a rebellion, they're actually armored up a lot more. My point being, and here's another soldier that looks kind of like a Spartan here. This one's fully clothed down. This one's less clothed up. And all I'm saying is that in history, again, according to history, this is kind of like historical. According to history, soldiers, for different reasons and different purposes, they would be dressed accordingly. Some of them would battle up and they're just armored up from head to foot. Others actually fought with their weapons and completely naked. So, and this is according to Greek mythology, completely naked. And the reason they were completely naked was before agility, speed. It depends on what you were doing, how you wanted to fight a war, how you wanted to fight a battle. Okay? So I've talked about this at length before, so that when we see this picture here, these Amazons occurred before this period of time. Remember, before Diana was even existing, before she was born, the Amazons were around. And from this picture here, it hints to what we will see in Justice League, probably the beginning of Justice League, this great war against Darkseid's forces, where the Amazons team up with mankind to fight off danger and resist some sort of forces and protect mankind. Okay, because their job was to protect mankind and teach them about love with each other, so they would heal back up. And my point anyway is this: if you look at their regalia and gear, according to Mark Hughes, which makes a lot of sense, they started to develop it more and more, and their armaments were much more elaborate. But besides that point, they had, as you can see, these Amazons had multiple different ways of fighting. Some of them were dressed in civilian dress, and they fought with weapons. Others fought with more gear. They geared up a little bit more. They had a little bit more armament on them. So when we see the Amazons here, this is an earlier period of time, even though you see them with the Batmobile right now. This is an earlier period of time I am assuming these Amazons are dressed up for in the movie, versus a little later in time when we see them here. They're armored up much more here, a little bit less here, and a little bit less here. Okay? So the Amazons, they have, not only do they have multiple uniforms and multiple gear, but throughout time and throughout history, depending on what they were doing, or depending on what they were comfortable wearing, they were armored up even less or geared up less, and so more parts of them may have been revealing, okay, as soldiers. And we're going to see them in the Great War. So this talk about they look different, and this is some guy pandering to them, and this is all about male chauvinism. I don't think it really has its place. In fact, if you look at this gear right here, this looks like a football uniform almost with this one, So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I think there's a basic template that they were going for, Zack Snyder and Company Limited. And Patty Jenkins tweaked it a bit, and they tried to find out how accurate they could have it and stuff like that. I thought that Queen Hippolyta looked like Queen Hippolyta when I saw it in the trailer. And the Amazons didn't look that much different from the Amazons we saw in Wonder Woman in that trailer as well. So I'm not quite sure. And by the way, if you look at this woman here, she's armored all the way up and so on. And you can see these are designs off of, again, Wonder Woman's outfit. So I'm not quite sure what they're saying about the armaments of these women. What I can tell you is I don't know how comfortable they are in them. And they said in Wonder Woman they weren't that comfortable in the clothing. But then nobody's ever comfortable in any of the clothing that anybody wears in probably any movie. I don't think it's geared for comfort necessarily. But nonetheless, the point is that this is not a step backwards. Okay? And Ate Timonen citing this is really not citing anything. She's been very selective in what she wanted to pick. And I thought I would expose it as we're coming to Justice League. There's a lot of people trying to do negative things and give negative press to the movie. I've seen that. There's been this hate for DCEU films for, I don't know why. There's just this just seriously persistent hate of DCEU films. Wonder Woman, they did the same thing. They talked about it would be bombing, and then they started to go in on, they tried to attack, I can't remember what was the negative thing they tried to attack with Wonder Woman. I think, what was it? Oh yeah, they talked about armpits, and that she has hair under her armpits, and all these kind of stupid things. They tried to talk about the CG. They had nothing to say about the movie. They couldn't say anything negative about the movie. And when the movie came out, it was a critical box office hit. Here again, they're attacking the movie. I'm seeing some people actually defending now the movie even before it comes out, Justice League, and I like that. I'm watching what's happening online. I'm liking what I'm seeing. And I hope that people will realize that people are saying enough is enough. Don't be so petty, guys. Stop being so petty, about Justice League. I don't care if Justice League gets horrible critical reviews. I don't really care. Once the movie is good for me, I've heard different people's opinions of it. I want to see it for myself, and I will determine if I like it or not. If it's crap, I'll tell you. If it's good, I'll let you know. But anyway, I thought I would leave that. Leave your comments in the comment section below about what you think about this. And as always, you can comment, share, and you can always donate to my channel. On that note, you guys have a great one.